Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Embedding Data and Analytics with Looker. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping things. First off, we'll be doing Q&A at the end. You should see a Q&A box on the right-hand side of your console. If it's not there, there's a Q&A button in the menu at the bottom that should pop that open. I'll be monitoring that throughout, so if you have any issues, please just put them there. Next, we are recording this webinar. We will send you the recording tomorrow, and we will also send you the slides. All right, so joining me today are Rich Taylor, Senior Director of Platform Marketing at Looker. Hello, Rich.
Oh, hello.
And also joining us is Harthi Sadasivan, an Implementation Analyst at Looker. Hi, Harthi.
Hey, Elena.
Great. All right, without further ado, I am going to pass it off to them to get it started. Take it away, Rich.
All right, well, thanks everyone for joining. We're actually going to start off with a poll. So I think if you could just answer the poll, I submitted my response to what everybody else does. Yeah, main idea is how familiar are you with Looker Analytics offering, internal or embedded. Hopefully, I've seen a few customers on here, but also, you know, there's been people that we probably haven't talked to before. We'll give it maybe 5 more seconds, and then see the results. Okay, cool. So yeah, it looks like we have a good mix. A lot of this is to help Harthi just know what to talk about, what to present kind of at the end. So it looks like we've got about good third or so that have either seen the demo or a customer, and then so on. So today we're talking about embedding data and analytics with Looker. You know, we'll kind of talk about how we've structured Looker, make it easy to do, and we'll kind of go into that. Here's what today we've seen. Companies kind of have 2 painful options today. Either you build it yourself, so this kind of can distract engineering, requires new expertise, miss out on innovation, and then needs ongoing maintenance and development. So if you don't have analytics expertise already, then you kind of need to go find those resources and put them in. And then for retrofit solutions, a lot of the solutions were built kind of before web architecture was as popular. So it requires you to move your data into the cloud or into some other solution, lacked engineering tools, long development cycle, hard to scale to new clients, and then a mix of desktop software with cloud, which is can be awkward for some systems. So, and you know, here's a solution that Looker is offering. So embedded analytics for the modern web, you build, deploy, and analyze. So you build, you have your data warehouse and Looker, which is your analytics or your data platform. So there's version control built in. Any Git repository or any Git tool that you use to version control and those type of things is available. GitHub is what we have a lot of customers on. We also use a lot of other things. Things go directly to the data warehouse, so that can be split however it needs to be for you. And you can set it up with whatever environment you're using. We have people using every database, SQL-compliant database you can imagine, and then a lot of people also doing things through Hadoop with Hive or Spark or another connector that way. Then you deploy. So through either embedding or API, you go to your customer portal or partner portal or wherever you need to deliver. So we have, we'll kind of get more into customer stories later, but the main thing is you deliver to your customers or your partners are an SSO integration where they log in, they get exactly what they need as far as analytics for what you're delivering, and they're happy. So they can also analyze. We have everything from, you know, simple dashboards and charts to full data exploration capabilities. Let's get into kind of, you know, why or some of the benefits. Reusability. So our modeling layer lets you build a modeling layer once and replicate that out to every new customer or use the same modeling layer for all. Dashboards and reports, you can build them once and then it can, you know, they can be customized using filters and different things for each new user that comes in. or each person that logs in. And then API usage. We have full REST API, so anything you want to deliver, you can do that in the way that makes sense for your software. Scalability. So you can build multiple analytic products. This is something we've seen with quite a few of our customers. So in Fluid, or some of our customers that have rolled this out or are about to roll this out are looking at like a very base analytics product, and then an upscaled analytics product, and then a highest tier. So you can have multiple analytic products that you deliver to your customers, and depending on what they choose or want to pay for, you can have a very advanced analytics product or just simple charts and graphs that you show, or a few API calls that you push to them. Test and deploy changes, so all changes are continuous integration, all that stuff can be put in there, as well as Git control. And then scale with SSO, so any new user that comes in, they're delivered what they need to be. And then customize, so API, iframe combination, you can do a lot of different things using the iframe and the API to deliver pretty unique customizations, and I think Harthi will show a lot of that in our demo. The color, I think I meant to put look there, but I guess I put looker and feel. The color, look, and feel of the product you can change to whatever your branding is, and then data exploration. People can do whatever they want within the product. So how is this possible? We're 100% in database. What that means is leverage all of your data, avoid summarizing or moving it. So wherever your data is right now, we can do the summarization with the modeling layer. So LookML is our intelligent modeling layer. You can describe the data, create usability and shareable, or reusable and shareable business logic. So if you look at you have all your data in your database, you don't have to summarize or do anything in the database. You can do that all with the modeling layer, or you can clean it up in the database and then use the modeling layer to push it. The modern web architecture is one of the main benefits here is you can access it from everywhere. If you want to share a report, you just share a URL, and the embedding and everything is inherent. So whether you're an internal customer and you want to publish something back into a system like Salesforce or into your internal portals, it's very easy to take an iframe and put it in there. And share and collaborate, extend to anyone. One of my favorite features now is kind of our Looker bot for Slack, where you can just call Slack actions, or you can basically chat with your data through Slack. And it's a unique way to kind of access your data and get data in your workflow. So Powered by Looker is the product we sell for. If you want to deliver analytics to your customers through Looker, this is the product we sell. It's Looker, it's just the way you deliver it out. So you can delight your customers with charts, dashboards, and ad hoc discovery, and it's built on a modern data platform your team will appreciate. Here's some of our Powered by customers. And you can go to a lot of these and look at their products that they have. So Urban Airship Insights on their website is one that's right there. You can go look at that. Simplify has one. And there's Campus Logic is another one not on here. But a lot of these solutions, you can go right to their homepage, and their analytics products that they're selling are built on Looker. So I think what most people want to see is the demo, so we'll pass it over to Harthi and let her run with it.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to actually walk through the demo, and then we'll get into some of the technical details behind how this website was built. And so what we've done is we've taken a fictitious e-commerce store called Fashionly, and so Fashionly, they sell clothes, e-commerce company, and so they have a lot of different vendors that they want to give data access to. The data that they collect, they want to make available to their customers. And so through this site, one of their vendors can log in, and so I can log in as one of their vendors, and I can access all the data that they have within Looker. So when I log in as this vendor, Allegra K, I'm taken to an entirely customized page just for Allegra K, and everything on this page is powered by Looker. So every number there that's in orange is a data field. It's either a dimension or a measure within Looker that we've defined. And so we're then displaying that to this external web page through our API. And so this entire page, we're making use of our REST API that Rich kind of talked about. And so we have different queries that we're running against that API. And so we're running a query to get the monthly featured user. We're running a query to get the most ordered product for this particular vendor, Allegro K. And on the right-hand side, we're also pulling up real-time data about how many users are making purchases for Allegro K, how many orders are being placed, and other things that we might be interested in, other metrics that we might be interested in. And so the great thing here is with these data points that we're getting, things like the increase in profit, those are metrics that you've defined within Looker, and they're reusable. And so you have a single source of truth, and the numbers that you're seeing here, you can be assured that you can trace back to the logic. And so here we're really reusing a lot of the modeling layer within Looker. So the second page is just a dashboard. This dashboard has been built within Looker, and we're embedding it onto the site as an iframe. And so this dashboard built within Looker by a business user, and it's easily adaptable. And so as an end user, I can go into my Looker platform. I can add in new looks or reports to this dashboard. And as a business user, I can customize the look and feel of the dashboard. So this dashboard, we've actually changed a lot of the background colors to match our company website. And so even, the individual looks on this dashboard, the colors match the branding of our site. And so this dashboard is entirely customizable, and an end user that has access, that has the analytical knowledge behind the data can go in and create this dashboard. And so this dashboard was really the bread and butter case of Powered by Looker. And if we go into a more customized use case, we can also do that within Powered by Looker by using both our API and our embedded capabilities. So this screen that you see right here contains just a single report. And what we're doing is, on the right-hand side, we're querying a particular folder within Looker. So an end user, they go into Looker, they create these different reports, these different looks. And once they have that in a shared folder, we can use our API to get metadata about that folder. And so we're pulling up these different reports in a particular folder and making that available to the end user. And so within my platform, I can click between different reports, and I can render that particular report here. And so I selected total sales year over year, and so that report is going to be shown here. And I also have the ability to toggle between and customize how I want that report to be shown to my end users. If they wanted to see, for example, a data point, I could select data, click submit, and that would render the data portion of that particular report. And so this particular page is a combination of both our API and our embedded iframe. And so on the right-hand side, using our API, we're able to render these reports, and we can also get metadata about every particular report. So if a user goes in and they enter a description for a report, we can allow the end user to see that metadata. We can allow them to see who's created the report, when it was last updated on, and we can also create some sort of feedback mechanism to give kudos or to like a report. And so this interactivity is made available by our Looker platform through our API. The next page, again, kind of talks more into how customized you can make your Looker. You can customize your reports within Looker. And so on the right-hand side, we have just a chart and a visualization, but you can curate the experience for your end user. For example, if your user is going to be interested in looking at orders month over month, you can go in, you can allow them to select the fields that they might actually be interested in. So instead of looking at user count and the total cost, if they wanted to look at maybe the total sale price and the gross margin, they can go in, select those fields, filter by a particular subset of those fields, so maybe select just one particular gender or one date frame. So if I wanted to look at this week over week, I have the ability to go in and customize that, and I can also go in and select a different range of dates, again, just filtering to that subset. And my embedded iframes are going to reflect the information that I've just selected. And so this page is a great example of curating that experience for your business users. If there is a need for users to just look at a particular set of reports filtered to their own needs, you can go in, create that experience for them, and Looker makes it easier for you to do that. And the last page is really just another example of using our API. And so within this page, we have a customer profile about different users. And so this is a Looker query that's being run against our database. And so for this user, Sarah, we're getting their gender, their lifetime value. We're also getting a list of all of the orders placed by this particular user. And so you'll notice there's things there. Everything in orange is really just a metric defined within Looker. And so things like lifetime value, you define once within Looker, and you're able to reuse that again on your external website. And so again, I can query across all of my users. I can create a custom user profile that my end users can go in and check to see the status of the user, how many orders they've placed, have their orders been delivered, and all of the data behind this is actually being powered by Looker. So everything on the site that we've looked at, all the API calls, the dashboards, they're all being powered by a Looker instance. And so if we go over to that actual Looker instance, we have a set of connectors to our data table. And so once we've set up the connectors to our actual database, we have a modeling layer where we define the relationships and the joins. And so if we go into the LookML portion, go over to Powered by Looker, actually log out. And if we go over to the modeling layer, we can actually see the joins and the relationships and the syntax. The syntax that goes into defining, order items, users for this particular use case. And so we have, our set of tables, we have our modeling layer, our relationships defined here. And once we've done this, an end user can go into our Explore panel and actually create content. So they can go in and create these looks and reports and dashboards that we've seen. And once the user creates that content, they save it back into a space, and we can go in and actually take a look at the reports and dashboards that have been saved here. So if I scroll over to dashboards, I can see the supplier overview dashboard that we were just looking at our embedded site. And if we scroll over to this dashboard, we'll see a list of looks, and a business user can go in and continue to add on to this and continue to iterate on this. And as these iterations happen here within this dashboard, our website is going to be updated. So it's a seamless experience there. And then again, kind of going back to spaces, we saw that customized page where we were pulling in reports from just one particular space. And so all of that, again, is here within this space. And so within this folder, we've created a subset of reports, and we're using our API to pull up these reports in our external site. And so what does our API actually look like? We actually use Swagger to generate our API. It's a RESTful API, and if you go into your admin panel within your Looker instance, you'll be able to see a full list of API calls and API functions that you can use. And so one of the most common use cases for the API is to just get data out. So if you've created a report, you can get all the data out of that report and either pipe it to some sort of external site or make use of it within a site like Fashionly. And so our API docs are interactive. I can go in, I can actually type in a query ID and get results and see what that query would return for me. And so if we were to scroll down and maybe if we wanted to take a look at all the reports in a particular space, I could go over to my API doc, I could type in the space ID and click try it out, and I would get a list of all the reports in that space, and I can interact with my API that way. So Rich also briefly talked about our Slack integration. And so what we've done with our Slack integration is we've connected Slack to our own internal Looker instance, which is called MetaNew. And so we have different teams within Looker. We have our support team, we have our account management team, who all make use of that internal data. And so we've made it easier for our users to communicate with that data. And so we've actually set up a connector to our API, and anytime someone types in a particular Slack command or a Slack chat, they can get access to that data very quickly without having to go to a new site or without having to go through 5 different steps to get to that data. And so within Slack, for example, if I wanted to look up the account manager for a particular account, for example, Acquia, I would just type in the name of the command and the name of the account, and Looker would automatically make a query against our API and against the Looker database and return that information to me. And so for Acquia, I can see that the account manager is Sean Cahill. And if we wanted to maybe find a list of accounts within the country, we can also write a command against that. And so these are a full list of commands that I can run against our API through Slack. And so all of this has, again, just been configured through the API, and it's powered by our API. And so if I wanted to, for example, find the number of chats by a particular account, I would just type in chats, the name of the account, and that should, again, query our API and our database and give me a list of chat tickets by this account. And I think that's really all I had for the demo. Elena, did you want to open this up to questions?
I did, yeah. Thank you, Harthi. I think the last piece is just talking maybe a little bit about what exactly our powered by options are. I think you actually could probably speak to that a little bit better than I could.
Sure. So what we saw with that demo was a combination of SSO, Embed, and API. And so the SSO Embed component was really just rendering a visualization or a data table within Looker. So anywhere we've embedded an iframe that's authenticated, that would constitute SSO Embed. We also made use of our API on our demo in a multitude of different ways. We used our API just as a querying tool. So in that first landing page, we ran 3 different API queries to get, the top user, the number of orders being placed right now. And so all of that information was just an API query. And we also made use of our API in a couple of different ways. We used our API to get metadata about certain reports, about metadata about the state of a report, and other things. And our API also powered our Slack integration. And so you can use your API to do all sorts of things like pipe data into an external source. And once you have that data in an external source, you can do advanced data analytics or render it on a website like Fashionly. And another powered by option is public embed. And so public embed is just grabbing a report and without authentication being able to embed it onto a website. Private embedding is, again, taking just a Looker report within Looker and placing it in an external website. But with private embedding, you do need to have a Looker account. So the user that's logging on to be able to see that report does need to have a Looker account. So a great use case of private embed is Salesforce. So we have a lot of customers analyzing it and modeling their Salesforce data within Looker. And the reports that are generated, they again embed back into Salesforce so that their sales and account management teams can take a look at the data that's been analyzed and modeled. And our last powered by option is OEM Embed, which is kind of just giving your customers access to the full Looker application. So most of our customers tend to start off with just, a combination of SSO, Embed, and API, kind of like what we just demoed in our Fashionly site. And when they find that their customers want access to more data and they want to create their own explorers, they want to create their own reports and save and schedule and download, they tend to open up their entire Looker application to their end users. And so that's also a powered by option that we have here within Looker.
Great. Thank you, Harthi. So the questions have been pouring in. There have been quite a few about us versus the competition. Rich, I think maybe you could touch on this a little bit. How does Looker compare to what else is out there? There's a specific question about us versus Tableau for embedding. Could you take away on that?
Yeah, I think if we go back to just, let's see. I think there's one. Well, I'm going to push this slide to the audience real quick. So I think it's the technical pillars that set us apart. So 100% in database means we leverage all the data. You don't have to move it. So a lot of times you have to move it or configure it a certain way to work with a lot of legacy software that's out there. And then the modeling layer that they have is more of a black box. You don't really understand what they're doing back there. If Harthi can maybe show in a minute some what LookML is, and we have a lot of demos on that as well. And then the modern web architecture. So there's no desktop client interface or anything like that. So you're getting exactly what everyone else is seeing. So the embed is really easy. Harthi, do you mind sharing your screen and just going to a chart and showing how easy it is to embed, or what the embed code comes up?
Sure.
I think that was actually another question, so this kills two birds with one stone, maybe.
Sure. So what we would do is within Looker, a data analyst would go in, an analyst that has an understanding of the relationships between these different tables. They would go in and define our relationships and our joins within the actual LookML model. We took a brief look at that. And once that has been defined, a business user can go in and explore the data that that an analyst has set up. And so as a business user, I can go in and I can select different dimensions and measures, and I can create a report. So for example, I could go over here and say, just give me a count of users. And in the background, Looker, based on the relationship, just defines a SQL query that's run against your database. And so once we've created a report that we're satisfied with, we can save it to a particular space. And once we've saved it to a space, we can then embed that either that report or a combination of reports that get compiled into a dashboard.
And then, Harthi, will you just show the example? Yeah, I think, Harthi, if you just show, have it, and then click, and then the embed. So go to report and just show how to embed, or the embed code that pops up for you.
Sure. And so right here, for public embedding, this is the iframe that I would grab, and I would just pop this iframe into a website, and that would render this as a report within that other website.
Yeah, so any
and
developer
so if we wanted to
or
embed
even web developer, yeah.
If we wanted to embed the visualization, we would just grab this first link. If we wanted to embed the actual data table, we would grab the second link, and a web developer would just go in and plop this iframe onto the external site that you want to make this data available in.
Yeah, so I think full circle to that question, it's just the ease of, anyone that knows any HTML or CSS, or if you want to do more powerful stuff with it, it's all very easy to embed any report or dashboard.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. The next kind of a grouping of questions is really pretty much about our mapping capabilities. So there were two about that. One was whether we integrate with Google Earth. I actually had never seen that question before, so that's interesting. And the other question was just kind of about global mapping, as it's basically like, do our maps work outside of the United States? Karthi?
Yeah, so we do have advanced mapping capabilities. I think there was an example of a map in one of the reports that I just pulled up. If you want to do user-specific or location-specific mapping, if you want to map points, you'd need a longitude and a latitude for your data, but you can also if you have some sort of topo-JSON file, you can overlay shapes onto a map. It doesn't have to be a map of the United States. It could be a map of different countries of the world. You could plot different regions using that topo-JSON file, and you would be able to group, user counts or order counts or whatever metrics you might be interested in into those different regions. And so we have great discourse articles about that capability. I'm happy to forward that information on to anyone that's interested.
Perfect. All right. For the embedded metrics, can you drill down or interact with them?
You can drill down, but really at a high level, embedding is for customers who want to get access to that high level data. And so what we'll usually suggest is starting off with just an embedded dashboard. And so you have, order items, you have these KPIs, you have these charts on a dashboard that users see, and they can again filter down to the result set that they're interested in. So these dashboards can have, time filters, date filters, state filters, and so the end user can filter down to a data set that they're interested in. If you want to incorporate drilling in capability, that's something that will have to be done on the custom side, and so you could create a custom workflow to get users access to that information from Looker. What we find at that point where users are asking for more data, for more information, is customers tend to move to an OEM embedded setup where they just give users access to the full Looker application so that they can create content, they can save content, and come back to it.
And you can see an example of that if you look up Looker public data, Looker/public data. That's a public data thing we're doing with Google, and you can interact with our embedded dashboards on our website. So you can see how that works there.
Great. All right. How does private embed work versus OEM embed?
Yeah, I can take this one. So private embed, any of our customers that are using Looker can embed anything they want to their users. So that's how private embed works. Our embedded functionality, I think someone asked about Google Sheets or Excel, or if you want to pump data back into Salesforce, however you want to put that data back into your own employees, that's what we allow you to do. Versus OEM embed would be you're giving that out to a customer or building a product using Looker to push data that you have on your customers or about your customers back to your customers. So that's the difference. The embedded functionality is pretty much the same feature. It's just how you deliver it to who. So you're providing value internally, or you're using Looker to provide value to your customers, which is kind of a different use case.
Great. Rich, you mentioned Salesforce. Can you talk a little bit more about what it would be like to have Looker embedded in Salesforce? Why would you want to do that? How does that work?
Yeah, so my background's in sales operations and marketing operations, and helping sales teams be efficient, all that stuff. Internally we use product usage data, and we put that into accounts in Salesforce. So that's something that we do internally, and it works great. If you're in an account and you're trying to talk to someone, you see their product usage data right there. HubSpot, one of our customers, they use Looker and push back into Salesforce kind of sales, productivity, and those type of metrics back into their Salesforce instance. So you don't have to go into Looker. You can have all that data right where you're living. And I think the idea of our embedded capabilities and API is, work how you're working and have the data live where you need to work. We also have customers embedding it within lots of other, types of things that, we have factory workers on floors that have Looker dashboards open into their apps on their iPads, helping them understand inventory and those types of things. So lots of different ways that people do that.
Great. Yeah, we did a webinar last week that was a customer of ours, and they embed their entire Looker instance back into Salesforce, which gives all their sales associates the capabilities of a full Looker Explorer right in Salesforce. It's incredibly powerful. That's on our resource center if you're interested in it. I believe it's called The Journey to Better Sales Analytics. All right. So next one, Harvey, I'm going to send this your way. How do I account for changes in my data model that could affect the embedded analytics I provide my users?
So there are different Git workflows that you can set up. And so once the user makes a change to the modeling layer, you could set up pull requests so that different members of the team review that particular change. And we also have certain things in place like the look validator, the report validator, that'll let you know if there are any reports that will be affected by a change to the modeling layer. And so you can check to see if the change that you've made will affect a report, and then submit that to be reviewed by other team members, and then finally push that once you've tested out the change that you've made. We also have different staging environments, and so you could also set up a dev instance of Looker where you're testing all your changes, and all of your changes would then sync up with your production instance of Looker once the changes have been fully tested by the QA team.
Great. A few questions about databases. First, what are we running our this embedded instance on? What database is this?
So this is actually a Redshift instance, so we've taken just kind of fake data, and this is being run against our Redshift instance.
Great.
But Looker does connect to almost every. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask what data sources are supported by Looker, and this person especially wanted to know about NoSQL databases.
We actually do not connect directly to NoSQL databases, but we do connect to a database that has some sort of SQL-like querying interface. So if you're talking about big data technologies, if they have some sort of connector like Hive or Spark, we do connect to those. We connect to almost every single relational database that is out there, whether that's columnar or row-based.
Perfect. Rich, another question for you about the Salesforce integration. Can you drill down into the raw data line items while embedding Looker within Salesforce?
Yeah, I think I think the webinar you talked about, that's one thing that they did. So yeah, you can drill down into row level data. It just depends how you set it up. So you can go anywhere from charts to graphs to ad hoc data discovery, which is kind of what that would be.
Perfect. Harsi, I'm going to shoot this one your way. What is the process and flexibility of creating a dashboard? Can you customize the look and feel, use their company's logo, and custom colors?
Sorry, Elena, could you repeat that question?
Oh, yeah, no problem. What is the process and flexibility of creating a dashboard? It seems like this person kind of wants to understand how they can, customize the look and feel, maybe add their company's logo or make the custom colors. I would say this is probably for, yes.
Sure. So let's take a dashboard as an example, this supplier overview dashboard. This dashboard is composed of different elements, and so for each of those elements, we can go in and make changes to the look and feel of that element. And so if we went into total sales year over year, we have the option to customize the look and feel of that element by just going over to our edit tab and changing, the chart colors, the axes labels. And so once you have a report that is in the format that you'd want it to be, you can add it to a dashboard. And once we have a dashboard like this, we can actually go in and edit the look and feel of the dashboard as a whole. And so here, I can go in, I can add in tiles to my dashboard, I can add in the background colors for the name of this dashboard. And so this bar allows me to edit the look and feel of what this dashboard is going to look like on my website. And so, we've changed the background color here to match the background color of our website. We pulled in the title color for our Fashionly brand. And so you have a lot of editing options here, and it's very easy to do. And so once I make a change and I save it here, my website is automatically going to be updated with that change.
Great. All right. Questions just keep rolling in. The chat capability that was illustrated, can that be exposed on external website through the API?
Sorry, Elena, what was the question?
All right. The chat capability that was illustrated, basically the Slack integration, can that be exposed on an external website through an API?
So the Slack capability is really just a query that's being run against your database. And so you can definitely make use of our API to run Slack-like commands. And so, for example, if you wanted to pull up the same information and display it on an external website, you would again just make that same API call to your Looker database, to your Looker platform, and then to your database. So the answer is yes.
Great. All right. How easy is it to create custom calculations, e.g., functions using normal distribution curves to calculate statistical significance and things like that?
So Looker handles about 80 to 90% of all sorts of advanced and predictive analytics. We have a lot of built-in functions ourselves, and we can make use of any database analytical functions that are available. But for advanced or predictive analytics, we find that for that 10% of use cases, customers will pipe data. They'll use our API, they'll use our modeling layer, and they'll then pipe that data into an external platform like R, and then build off of that. But Looker does serve as the bread and butter. We serve as a modeling layer for even that kind of predictive analytics.
Perfect. Okay. Can I use other visualizations that you don't have as native choices? T3, for example?
Yes. If you are hosted if you're self-hosted, you can create custom visualizations, and we do actually have a library of some visualizations that aren't available just right off the Looker products that you can use, or you can create your own custom D3 visualizations. And so a common example of that is a heat map. And so we have a lot of customers creating their own heat maps and building them, customizing them to their particular use case. And you can obviously extend that to other types of visualizations like word funnels or word clouds or any other type of visualization that you can really think of.
Cool. Harthi, again for you. Does OEM require SSO?
No, OEM Embed is going to be giving a customer access to the entire Looker application. And so the setup for that would be slightly different. And so you would take a Looker instance and allow different customers, you give different customers logins to that Looker instance, and the back end of that would handle the connections. So if, for example, if you have a vendor and they only have access to certain tables, we could set up the permissioning within Looker to only give them access to those tables and those databases.
Awesome. Can you use CSS or defaults for the site so you don't have to change each element individually?
So within these individual reports, you really handle a lot of the customization right now within the Looker platform. So you would have to go into individual dashboards and make that change. But there are a lot of product features that are coming up in our short-term roadmap, where that entire process of editing the look and feel of a dashboard is going to be made a bit simpler, so you're not going into every single look to edit changes.
All right. So take a break from the little short answer questions. Can you go over the implementation details of how you actually use the API embed iframe? Can you give us a little demo of that?
Sure. And so let's go back to the API doc that I had open. And so anytime you want to make an API call, you would authenticate into your API using an API client ID and a secret. And once you've authenticated in, you can run any command with the required parameters. And so we can test this out using our API docs. And so if we went into, for example, run and manage looks, we can scroll over to all looks. And when we click try it out, we'll get a list of every single report that's ever been built on this instance. And we'll be able to get a full list of the look IDs, the query IDs, the descriptions, and all of that information. And again, we can do that for a number of different method calls. And so if we go into spaces, we can try out a particular space ID, a particular folder, and get a full list of all of the reports that are in that space. And so our API is very interactive. You can also do, in addition to just getting data about a particular, folder or report, you can also do a lot of the work behind creating users. So instead of going in through our UI and creating a user manually, you can automate a lot of that work through the API. And so if I wanted to, for example, add in 100 new users to my Looker platform, I could just create a simple script. And that script can be in any language. So you can write that in Python and Ruby, and you would just pass in, you just call this create user method call and pass in the full parameters for the new user that you're going to be creating. And so these are the methods that are available within our API, and you can interact with these methods through different SDKs. And so we provide a Ruby SDK, a Python SDK, a Java SDK, and an R SDK, Java R SDK. And so you can interact with our API in a lot of different ways through these different SDKs. And the first step would really just be to establish that connection. And once you've established that connection, you can make any number of these actual method calls. Does that answer the question, Elena?
I believe it does. Thank you so much.
Hey,
all right.
Elena, there was a couple questions about security, so I might talk through a couple of those, and then maybe have Harthi go deeper if needed. But there's a couple questions about row, column level data security. So yes, we have access filters or different things, so you can put row or column level security on things. Harthi, do you want to kind of? I mean, we have LDAP and Active Directory, SSO. So, Harthi, do you want to talk about anything else on that, or just know we can do security for whatever you need?
Right. So we have different connectors. So if you already have an LDAP set up, when you're creating new users for your external Powered by site, you can map a user's email address to their list of permissions and apply those permissions to the Looker application. And so in addition to that, a user can also have row-level permissioning within Looker. So you can say, for example, this vendor, Allegra K that we use to log into, might only have access to certain rows, and so you'd only pull in the rows that are relevant to that particular vendor within Looker. We can also limit, permissions by databases, by particular schemas, by tables, and at the lowest level by row.
Perfect. All right. Can you use the API to get the dashboard iframe code to embed?
You can. So it's a function here within our API. So if we go into, I think it's run and manage queries, and we pull up the particular query ID for an individual report, one of the results, one of the fields that's returned is actually the full iframe URL that you can then use to get that full iframe for that report.
Perfect. All right. So, question about integration. Do we integrate with Maxbox? Parthi?
I'm actually not sure about Maxbox.
We will get back to you on that one over email. Thank you for your question. All right. This person would like to know if they can sync the organization users to Looker users.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Can they sync their organization users to Looker users?
Yep. If you are using LDAP or some other system to manage users within your organization, you can sync that up within Looker. So if you're using Google Auth, you're using LDAP, or if you're using Okta, we do sync across those different platforms, and you can make use of the existing permissioning structures that you have within that.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. What are the technical capabilities my team would have to build something like this demo site that you showed?
So you would definitely need a data analyst, someone who has a deep understanding of the table structures and the relations and can work with LookML and understand the modeling layer. And so you would need a data analyst who's going to be handling the Looker portion of this, the Looker and database portion of this. And then you would also need some kind of interactivity between that data analyst and the web designer who is in charge of embedding onto that external site. And so that web designer would have CSS skills, JavaScript skills, and really everything that's required for the front end piece of that.
Yeah, and I'll kind of chime in too. There was a question about investment in training and education will be needed in this. We if you do a demo and start a trial with us, we help you build your model out and do a lot of those things. The other nice thing is, we give you all the training you need to get up and going. So if you have someone that knows SQL, then that's good. And then the web development and your development team should already have all those skills to take care of all the embedding and putting that in. So that's kind of the other aspect is if you have someone that has HTML and CSS and API knowledge, then that's not very difficult. Our tool makes it very easy. It's standard stuff. And then someone that knows SQL, we can get them up and running and understanding your data and how to put it in. So do a demo and trial with us, and we'll get you going.
Nice. Perfect. All right. So what is on the roadmap for Embed API changes? Parthi?
So within our actual site, we allow users the ability to download an embedded dashboard on an external site. And pretty soon we're going to allow end users, the ability to share or schedule a dashboard on an external site to be sent out to different users at different intervals. Another thing that's coming with our roadmap is the ability to get metadata about the entire modeling layer. And so that's, I think, slated for Q3, Q4. But with that, you'll be able to using our API, you'll be able to export out, the full logic behind your entire database schema. And make use of that in different ways. And so a common use case for that could be, just creating a data dictionary. So within Looker, for every field that you define, for every join that you define, you can add in different tags that describe what that either join relationship or what that field is. And so once you have the ability to get that metadata, you can create a data dictionary that allows users to just get a better understanding of where to find the metrics that they need and things like that.
So
Perfect.
Elena, there's a question that just came in. Is there a way for non-technical users to have the ability to create a dashboard and chart? Maybe I'll answer this on a holistic level. So yes, absolutely. So it's very, I don't feel very technical, and most of our technical people don't create a lot of the dashboards and charts. So the idea is our modeling layer. You have one data analyst or maybe a small data team. They can handle all of the modeling of the data, and then it's your business users or non-technical users, if you want to use that term, that are creating the dashboards and users, and the people whose job it is to use the data to make decisions. Those are the people that create the dashboards and charts and do all those things. So, the modeling is the hard part, or it can be a hard part, but once you have it, then anyone can go and create a dashboard or chart or for what they need and explore the data.
Thank you, Rich. Another question, I think this one's for Harthi. Can I write to the LookML model using the API?
You cannot currently do that. All the modeling has to be done within the actual Looker platform. But we are constantly making changes to the platform and how you write LookML. And so something that's coming up within a few months or in the immediate roadmap is just the ability to really have more flexibility over how you write LookML. So we're planning on moving to a new syntax. And so the answer is right now you can't insert in LookML code, but all the changes and everything really just happens within the Looker platform.
Okay, great. And then can that LookML model be pushed through Git?
Yes, we do have Git interactivity, and so any of the changes that I make is automatically synced to a Git repo, and so we can have multiple developers or multiple analysts making changes to that model at the same time, and we can also set up, that Git workflow where we're reviewing changes by a particular analyst or particular user, and then pushing them to production.
Great. Cool. Lots of very good questions here, people. How easy is it to integrate multiple sources at a model level? Great question. Do you want to take this?
Sure. So at the model level, you can set up a connection to just one database, but you can have multiple models within a project, and so for every single model, you can connect to a different data source, and at the dashboard level or the report level, you can pull in information from different data sources and create a curated view. One dashboard, one high-level dashboard could contain elements from your transactional database, your analytical database, and so you could stitch together different reports into a dashboard that are from completely different data sources. Elena?
Sorry, I was on mute there, guys. Rich, I'm going to send this last question over to you. Can you tell us a little bit about Looker blocks?
Yeah, sure. So Looker blocks are analytical frameworks to help you get going on different things. So it's very simple to, it basically provides you a head start on building models around different use cases. So whether that's sales analytics using Salesforce, so we have a Salesforce block so you can easily model your data and do things with that, whether it's chat or customer success or different things like that. So our blocks are, we also have those with partners like IBM and HP and different companies segment that allow you to get up and going quickly and kind of start your framework that you're building with a model.
Perfect. All right, so we are out of time for today. I know there were some questions that didn't get answered, so we will do our best to get to those today or tomorrow, and we will email you the answers. Thank you so much to our presenters, and thank you for everybody who joined. As I mentioned at the beginning, a recording of this webinar and slides will be posted tomorrow, and we will email them to you tomorrow. If you're curious about learning more about Looker, visit our free trial site, looker.com/free-trial, or email discover@looker.com. And if you enjoyed this webinar, we are hosting our next webinar on May 18th, and it is titled Analyzing Log Data with Spark and Looker. Thank you again for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.